So this is going to be more of a practical application and side-by-side footage, and I want you guys to tell me what you actually prefer in this thing. I don't want to dive heavy into the specs. I do still want to talk about some of the features that you may actually find useful, and you do have to take it into consideration that some features will be better than the others. Image quality is completely subjective. I understand some people like different colors, but let's go outside and see what these things can actually do. But don't think of these as upgrades. Think of these as just action cameras that if you haven't got the last version, then you could potentially get these. Because if you do have the Hero 12 or if you do have the Action 4, you might not actually need these, but there could be a couple of features in here that you may actually need in your specific situation. But yeah, let me know which one you think looks good. We'll get into the rest of the video. So the GoPro Hero 13 Black has a 27 megapixel 1/1.9 inch sensor. It's able to record up to 5K at 60 frames per second and 4K at 120 frames per second. And it can do 27 megapixel stills. It has Hypersmooth 6.0 stabilization. It's got a front and rear LCD screen. It's got Bluetooth audio connectivity and control. It has a 1900 milliamp hour battery and comes in at the price at $399 US. So the DJI Action 5 Pro has a 40 megapixel 1/1.3 inch size sensor. It's able to do up to 4K at 120 frames per second, and it can do 40 megapixel stills. It has 360-degree horizon steady image stabilization. It has 47 gigabytes of inbuilt storage. It has subject centering and tracking, and it has a 1950 milliamp hour battery. And it comes in at the price of $349 US. What's the dynamic range look like on this thing? That is dusty. I have no idea if any of that was usable or if anything looked good, but 5.3K versus 4K, 25 frames per second, just all auto settings as well. So I just wanted the cameras to do what it needed to do to look the best. Got them side by side. You let me know which one looks best. I know there's been a whole bunch of controversy when it comes to the Action 5 Pro's bitrate, like it's 100 megabits per second, where apparently the Action 4 was 120. Not 100% sure. I honestly don't really care about the bitrate. Sure, it is a little bit less, but that just comes down to different compression ratios, I'm assuming. But when it comes to the Hero 13, you do have 120 megabits per second maximum, but it does 5.3K, so that's most likely why there's a higher megabits per second. Now, we do have to still take this into consideration that they're action cameras. They're not going to look just like my Sony a7 IV right here. We have to take that into massive consideration. Sure, I understand that bit rates can mean a lot for some, but hey, we gotta, take these action cameras for what they actually are. Grabbing them, putting it on a helmet, putting on handlebars, literally vlogging with it, swimming with it, whatever we do with our action cameras, we're trying to tell the story. And whichever one you choose is going to be a fairly good choice. Especially now in 2024, you really can't go wrong. Sure, there may actually be one that's better than the other in certain circumstances and certain features, which we will discuss, but you're not going to choose the wrong camera. They are both phenomenal, and I just want to put that out there right now. But even in a extremely optimal lighting situation like this, they're just not going to look like my a7 IV. They're just not. It's a 1/1.9 and a 1/1.3 inch sensor, not even 1 inch sensors, and a full frame sensor, and an f1.4 GM lens. Like, this is the cream of the crop when it comes to hybrid cameras. And these are just action cameras. You're just going to need to understand that the image quality won't be impeccable. And you just have to understand what features that you guys need and what's going to work within your budget as well, because both of these are so cheap in comparison to this camera, a7 IV, the lenses, the microphone. It's like a $4,000 setup once you buy a whole bunch of, the cage, the memory card, the extra batteries, the lens, the microphone, and these are $349 and $399. Like, that's crazy cheap. You don't actually have to buy any of the accessories and lenses, obviously. If you do get the DJI Mic 2, they're just going to pair with both of these. But let's talk about some of the things that you might find useful in your situation. And one massive feature that should be a thing in all cameras, but I don't know why it's not a thing in all cameras, but it's internal storage, 47 gigabytes in this thing. And that is amazing because these cards are so small, sometimes we just forget them. We leave them in the actual computer, in the actual card reader, and then we go out and we've got no card in there. So you do have that ability to record directly internal into the Action 5 Pro, whereas the GoPro still doesn't have that. Now there is the new diving, hiking and parachuting modes and depth and altitude sensors in the Action 5 Pro, whereas the GoPro doesn't have any of these. So that is pretty cool if you do some of those, action sports in the Action 5 Pro. Now, when it comes to the battery life and overheating, it really does depend on your location, what settings you're actually doing, and obviously the temperature that you're actually in. So I don't really want to do this because it's really hard to keep these consistent, and it really depends obviously on your location, but they're pretty much the same. It does state that the Action 5 Pro is a bit better when it comes to overheating and also record times. Now, here's some of the recording frame rates displayed on the screen. One great feature that I love about both of these is that when they're both turned off, all you need to do is hit the record button. It'll start booting up and it'll actually record straight away. Not necessarily straight away. It'll take, 3 or 4 seconds to boot up, then hit record. But you don't actually have to turn it on and then hit record, which is great. But that kind of is a con, specifically the Hero 13. It's not a con for the Action 5 Pro, and I'll explain. Now, I had them both in the Hyperlapse time warp setting, turned them off, and then when I went to go hit record, I hit record, and DJI did its thing, recorded the Hyperlapse the whole way to the gym, and the Hero 13 didn't. It recorded just regular video mode. So you actually have to turn it on and then switch it back to time warp and then hit record. You can't just turn it off. It will actually just default back to the video mode. So that stumped me. I didn't know that, and it was really annoying because I wasted the trip on the way to the gym. But hey, I was at the gym, had to come back home anyway. So I did the time warp or Hyperlapse on the way home, and it worked fine then. But just be cautious of that because obviously I ran into the issue. So this is what the Hyperlapse looks like on the GoPro and the Action 5 Pro. Now this is at 5.3K on the GoPro at 30 times speed, and this is 4K at 30 times speed on the Action 5 Pro. Now DJI allow you to use log, D-Log-M, but GoPro limits you to flat picture profile or just normal or vivid picture profile. No log here. Now you are listening to the DJI Mic 2 audio coming directly into the Action 5 Pro, but this also does record 32-bit float, but you do have to go into the settings and activate auto record 32-bit float, or just hit the record button on here. But I haven't done that. This is just the audio going directly into the Action 5 Pro. And funny thing is that you can actually use the DJI Mic 2 with the GoPro Hero 13, but it sounds not as good. So this is the DJI Mic 2 connected directly to the Hero 13, and I told you it just does not sound as good as when this is connected directly to the Action 5 Pro. And one of the problems with connecting the DJI Mic 2 with the GoPro is that they've blocked you from recording internally into here when it comes to the 32-bit float. I have no idea why. You can literally hit the record and it does not record the 32-bit float. It kind of just blocks it. That really does suck, because I think the only other microphones you can connect with this is the GoPro module thing that you connect with it. What is it called? The media mod or something. Or you can do actually your AirPods, and the AirPods sounds horrible. I don't even want to test it because it's not worth it. But look, hey, they did add the Bluetooth in there. It's okay, but the DJI Action 5 Pro just absolutely annihilates it. So this is the audio coming directly out of the Hero 13, and this is the audio coming out of the Action 5 Pro. Now this is all in-camera audio. Wind noise reduction is on, so I'm not 100% sure how this is going to sound, but essentially this is on a neck mount, and I'm quite close to the cameras as well, so it will be clearer than it being further away from me.
Slow down a touch and full speed. And slow down a touch, full speed. And we're just chilling on the cameras. On the, what do you call that? Is that a scooter?
Yeah.
Scooter with a seat. Slow down a touch. And go. Yours is faster. Maybe it's because of my weight.
Oh yeah, could be.
Also, one thing that I've noticed about the Hero 13 log profile, that it's much flatter than DJI's D-Log M. This doesn't really mean much. Just go to the GoPro website and download the conversion light. Same with the DJI, download their conversion light, slap it directly on, and then all you need to do is a couple of little tweaks on the image and it will look perfectly fine. And they both are 10-bit files, so you do have a lot of color information to work with, push and pull, change the colors around and make it look how you want it to look. Because at the end of the day, color definitely is subjective. So, what footage did you actually like out of these two? Let me know in the comments below. One issue I have run into with the stabilization between these two cameras is that the Hero 13 Black does struggle when it comes to, I suppose, slightly lower light situations. It tends to bring the shutter speed down and then tries to stabilize it, and you can see it just doesn't look good. But when the lighting situations are normal, it works perfectly fine, incredible actually. It's just when it gets a little bit darker. Now this is in complete auto settings and you can just see that it works well and then it just doesn't work well, then it works well again. So this just comes down to the algorithm in the Hero 13. It's just not as good as the Action 5 Pro. And yeah, maybe they can fix that in a firmware update, not 100% sure, but right now the Action 5 Pro, in my opinion, and from what I can see, looks better in majority of the situations. Now we've got to talk 4K 100 with slow motion. Look, they both don't look amazing. They obviously are slightly lower resolution, even though they do say they're 4K. They don't look like the 4K 25 or 4K, 50 frames per second. The Hero 13 Black is incredibly over sharpened, and the Action 5 Pro actually is probably a little bit soft, but still slightly detailed, maybe some noise reduction going on. But yeah, look, if I had to choose, the Action 5 Pro does look better in my opinion. The Hero 13 Black is just absolutely over sharpened. I really do not like the look of it. You have to really just somehow soften the image out. It's yeah, it's just not great. They're both not amazing. 4K 25, 4K 30, are probably your best bets in these action cameras anyway when it comes to really nice image quality. Now we have to talk about low light situations, and that's pretty much been the Achilles heel forever when it comes to action cameras, because they're just very small sensors. They don't really have a fast aperture, but this is where DJI Action 5 Pro have actually brought in the super night mode, which tries to use a whole bunch of AI algorithms and noise cancelling to try and make this thing look usable, and it does. It looks usable in comparison to the Hero 13. The Hero 13 is just completely unusable. Now in this particular night situation, it was pretty much pitch black. Both cameras would have failed miserably. Even my mirrorless camera, my FX3 would fail miserably at 12,800. So this is extreme low light situation. So the GoPro is just not handling this at all in comparison to the Action 5 Pro. It's just whitewashing it. It's complete win for the DJI. Now they both do horizon steady mode, but the GoPro does it in 4